boy. Oh.
Bye, Max. Have a good trip home.
How's it going, Jebedeezer?
Jebedeezer's got about half a square inch left to go of the gasket scraping.
Half a square inch, really?
And this here be the gasket scraper tool.
Don't show that. You get so many nasty comments.
Howdy, the Fritz 423 here. Back when we split the tractor to replace the clutch, we ended up bending the oil pan. And I didn't put this in that video because it didn't happen when we were taking it apart or putting it back together. It happened afterwards when I was trying to remove the jack stands. The jack we built has enough oomph in it to lift up that tractor and probably a couple other tractors piled on top of it. I mean, we really overbuilt it, but that's okay. I mean, it was a safety thing for us.
Let's keep going.
After we got her all put back together, we started it and you could hear this ticking sound. So I got up underneath there and it became pretty obvious what had happened. So we took it back inside the shop. The problem is you can't get that oil pan off while the engine's in the tractor. This shot is from below the tractor, from where the engine is bolted to the transmission. And you can see them bolts are in the way, and you go down to the other side of the oil pan and it's completely underneath the yoke that holds the front axle. I mean, you can't get to it. And even if you could get to it, you can't get the oil pan out of there. Well, I wasn't about to split that tractor again, so we come up with a workaround. This should work for anybody who's got a 5000 series John Deere. The front axle is only held on by 4 bolts. Took one of these bolts out and measured it. Turns out it's an M29, a metric bolt. And we got our hands on some longer M29s. These are almost 5 inches long. So what we did was we put our rolling jack stand up under the front of the tractor and jacked it up just enough so it would hold. And then individually we took out each one of these 4 bolts and replaced it with a longer 5-inch M29. After all 4 bolts were replaced, we simply jacked it up some more and that yoke slipped down until the bolts finally held it a couple inches underneath. And that was enough to get in there and get the oil pan bolts out and to remove the oil pan. I apologize for not getting any video of this, but at the time, I wasn't even thinking it was going to be worth a video. But in retrospect, it'll probably help somebody else who's working on one of these tractors. So here's the steps in order. First, secure the tractor by putting your jack or jack stands underneath it. Next, remove and replace each of the 4 bolts holding in the axle. Then jack up the tractor until you have enough room underneath to get to the oil pan. Here's the oil pan after we got it off. If you look at the top in that little oval, there's a scratch running right through it. Well, that's where the bottom of the connecting rod was, ticking. So I figured if we left it, it would eat through eventually and we'd dump all our oil out in the field somewhere. The repair was as simple as you would expect. We'd only bent that thing about 1/3 of an inch, probably less, probably 1/4 of an inch. So I just took a rubber hammer and pounded it back out until it was flush. Putting the oil pan back on, you just put a little Loctite 515 over all the seams and basically at the corners. I'm using a swivel head to hold the bolt until I get up into that hole. There's just enough room to do it. Oh my goodness. This is for YouTube.
Hey, YouTube.
What's up, Jebedeezer?
Oh, Jebedeezer's hurting for certain.
Hurting?
For certain.
You're getting old.
Been old.
It ain't easy being a fat man in Texas.
Nope.
But it ain't mine.